Good morning, everyone. If you're not already seated, please find an empty seat at one of our tables up front. If you need any enticing to find a seat, only seated guests will get a giant homemade chocolate chip cookie courtesy of Ginger Snaps Bakery. So please come forward, take a seat so we can get started. The cookies look really good. You do not want to miss out on them. Promise you that. Thank you, guests. Good morning and welcome. My name is Addison Graham, and I graduated from Dean College in May of 2022. I'm incredibly excited and honored to be here as your Master of Ceremonies for the very first Woman in Business Conference here at Dean College. Now, Dean has an incredibly rich history of women leaders, and today's event proves that it's still building a strong, powerful, and ambitious community of female leaders of today and tomorrow. I would like to begin by welcoming the wonderful Madison Frechette, President and founding member of the Women in Business Club, to the stage to tell you more about this amazing and empowering morning we have ready for you. Give it up for Ms. Frechette.
Thank you, Addie. Distinguished alumni, community members, faculty, staff, and guests, I'm so excited to welcome each and every one of you to Dean College's first annual Women in Business Conference. My name is Madison Frechette, and I am a senior marketing and business management major at Dean College. I'm also one of the founding members of the Dean College Women in Business Club. The Dean College Women in Business Club was founded less than a year ago with a mission to build an inclusive community that celebrates the stories and journeys of young female alumni, local entrepreneurs, and women in business. We also strive to inspire and empower students to make connections, get involved in their community, and prepare for a future career in business. Our goal today is to provide you with an unforgettable morning with inspiration, connection, and celebration. The theme of today's conference is Find Your Voice, Define Your Journey. We have 3 sessions planned for you this morning, and each session will include an inspirational keynote speaker, an opportunity for you to connect with or meet the people around you, as well as a short award presentation that will celebrate the journey of some of the remarkable women in our community. In addition, we have a special performance from My Black Speaks, a poetry reading from one of our alumni, a repertoire sung by the Dean Vocal Ensemble, videos created by some of our communication students, and even a runway fashion show. You won't want to miss any of it, so please plan to stay with us the whole time. Cancel those meetings and classes on your calendar for the rest of the morning and stay here. We would like to begin the morning with a performance from My Black Speaks. My Black Speaks is a student-led club here on campus. This dance team aims to celebrate Black culture and empower the community through representative dance. Each year, the club hosts, organizes, and participates in a Black Excellence Showcase where several different areas of art are performed and celebrated right here in the Guidry Center during Black History Month. I would like to thank Club President Virginia Burt for coordinating this performance and bringing the club members back to perform for us this morning. Now, without further ado, please help me welcome them with a round of applause.
they don't love you like I love you. Slow down, they don't love you like I love you. Back up, they don't love you like I love you. Step down, they don't love you like I love you. Can't you see there's no other man above you? What a wicked way to treat the girl that loves you. Hold up, they don't love you like I love you. Slow down, babe, it's such a shame you let this good love go to waste. I always keep the top tier, 5-star, backseat loving in the car like make that war, highly like the boulevard.
As a black woman, I used to feel like the world wanted me to stay in my little box. And black women often feel underestimated. And I wanted us to be proud of not only the show, but the process. Proud of the struggle. Thankful for the beauty that comes with a painful history, and rejoice in the pain, rejoice in the imperfections and the wrongs that are so damn right. And I wanted everyone to feel grateful for their curves, their sass, their honesty, thankful for their freedom.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Virginia Burt, and all the amazing dancers from My Black Speaks. Let's give them another round of applause. At this time, I would like to welcome business management student Isabel Adrian to the stage to introduce our first keynote speaker.
Thank you, Addie. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to the first ever Dean College Women in Business Conference. My name is Isabel Adrian, and I'm one of the founding members and conference chair for the Dean Women in Business Club. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce you to Dominica Ribeiro, Chief Marketing and Distribution Officer at Breckenridge Capital and Dean College graduate, class of 1999. Dominica Ribeiro is a distinguished alumni and executive renowned for her efforts on gender diversity and her dynamic leadership in the financial services industry. In her current role, she leads Breckenridge Capital's strategic distribution, including sales and relationship management, as well as the marketing plans and initiatives. Prior to Breckenridge, she was head of institutional marketing North America at State Street Global Advisors, where she was responsible for developing and executing their overall marketing strategy. She led campaigns focused on promoting State Street Global Advisors' thought leadership investment strategies and gender diversity initiatives, notably the Fearless Girl installation on Wall Street in New York City. The Fearless Girl campaign helped raise awareness around the globe of the power of women in leadership and the connection between increasing gender diversity on boards and long-term company performance. Dominica's focus on gender diversity was catalyzed by her involvement in the State Street Fearless Girl initiative, marking a pivotal moment in her advocacy journey. Dominica's journey into the financial world is as remarkable as her achievements. A proud alumna of Dean College, she embarked on a unique path, working full-time in the financial services industry while also attending college part-time. While pursuing her studies part-time at Dean, she sees an opportunity at Putnam Investments, where her career blossomed, eventually leading her to work full-time in the financial services industry. After Dean, Dominica went on to Lesley University, where she receives a bachelor's and master's in business management. As Chief Marketing and Distribution Officer at Breckenridge Capital Advisors, Dominica Ribeiro continues to inspire change, championing diversity and fostering innovation in the financial services industry. Please help me welcome Ms. Ribeiro to the stage with a warm round of applause.
Okay, that bio is crazy. I don't feel like that's me, so not that impressive, I don't think. But thank you, Isabel. Okay, so this is wild too, that this is the first ever women's conference at Dean, and this room is completely filled. So kudos to Dean for supporting this initiative. This is great. Now I'm going off script a little bit here, but okay, let me just organize myself. Okay. All right, so thank you for inviting me here today. What a lineup we have. Impressive speakers, staff, and attendees. The energy here is just wild. I feel so great to be here. A special shout out to the Women in Business Club for organizing this conference and bringing it to life. The hard work and dedication of Isabel Adrian, Kelly Reyes, and the rest of the members have made this event a reality, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. As I prepared for my talk today, I gave quite a bit of thought around the theme, find your voice, define your journey. Although when I was young, my voice was quite loud, I can tell you that at that point, I was not using it as constructively as I could have or should have. It wasn't until I started here at Dean College and I walked the campus that you all walk every day that I started to find my voice and define my journey. I get a little emotional thinking about those days, so sorry. It wasn't until that year, back in 1994, that I had no idea how windy of a road my journey would be. How many green lights, red lights, and yellow lights I would navigate through along my way, a journey that brings me back here today. And it feels so great to be back, so thank you again. As I thought back to my time at Dean, which I attended part-time while working full-time, as Isabel mentioned, when I started my path in the financial industry, I found it challenging to navigate my educational journey along with my career journey at the same time. Honestly, I was thinking that I couldn't do both, and I was ready to walk away from my educational journey. I remember sharing this back then with my sister, who was an educator and my mentor. She's 13 years older than me. What did she do? She scared me. She made an appointment with the president of the school at that time, Dr. Paula Rooney. They brought me into her office. They sat me down. There I was staring at two women who meant business. So what did they do? They listened to me, and they really heard me, and they helped me come up with a plan that brought me to success. This plan was instrumental in my educational journey and, quite frankly, in my life. It drove me to complete my associate's degree here at Dean College, which then led me to go after my bachelor's degree and then my master's degree. I shared a quick story with Isabel as I was sitting here, and my mother did not go to college. My father did not go to college. My mother had 3 children, and she wanted all 3 of her children to get their master's degree. So she quite rode me on this. I want all 3 of my kids to have those degrees. And I can tell you, I did not find school easy. It was a challenge for me. And so I finished my master's degree. I came up on a stage like this, grabbed the degree, went down, handed it to her, and said, "Now leave me alone." So quite, the path did not go easy, should I say. So, all of this to say that Dean College holds a special place in my heart and helped me, way back then, find my voice and define my journey. I am thrilled to be here today to talk to you all about breaking barriers and navigating the path to true gender equity. I'll start today by talking about what gender equity really means, why it's important, and how I've worked towards it over my career. So now let's define gender equity. Gender equity is about fairness to all genders. It's not just a fundamental human right. It's essential for building peaceful societies, unlocking full human potential, and ensuring sustainable development. We must dismantle historical barriers that have prevented women and men from operating on a level playing field. However, as we're learning, barriers can evolve and reappear, requiring ongoing effort and adaptability. So what's the significance of gender equity? Well, research shows that when women serve as leaders and employees in traditional male-dominated industries, businesses benefit and company performance improves. Studies by McKinsey & Company and Catalyst highlight the positive correlation between gender diversity and business success. Despite these benefits, promoting gender diversity can be challenging. This is evidenced by the persistent disparities in the participation rates of women in the global labor force. So what are these challenges, and how are we progressing is the question. The Global Gender Gap Report underscores the ongoing challenges in achieving gender parity, with women's participation in the workforce slipping globally. However, there have been modest gains, indicating progress. It's essential to continue our efforts to break down barriers and strive for gender equity, recognizing its significance for social and economic progress. So let's talk about that. Gender equity isn't just about fairness. It's about unlocking broader societal and economic benefits. Achieving gender parity in the workplace could add trillions to the global economy. In fact, 12 trillion, according to McKinsey. Moreover, resilient workplaces and inclusive cultures foster innovation, creativity, and better consumer understanding. It's about empowerment and inclusion. It's crucial to empower marginalized groups while ensuring equity for all. Our goal is to not advance one group at the expense of the other, but to move forward together. It's a society fostering a culture of inclusivity and respect. So with that, some may be wondering how over the past 20-something years I have worked towards gender equity in my own career. You might be surprised to hear that throughout my career, I have been mentored and sponsored by men. It isn't something that happened naturally, though. It was a bit of a default, seeing that I've grown up in an industry that is very male-dominated. I will say, though, I've taken this into my own hands. My mother would always encourage me to self-advocate, so that's exactly what I've done. With great intention, I built relationships with men in my career, and women too. But I took it on as a personal goal of mine to help men understand the diversity of thought that I bring to the table, which, by the way, is quite evident when I speak up and I voice my opinion in a room with all men. And I can tell you that the same goes for every single woman in this room. It's clear that I think differently as a female, but it's also clear that these men value my opinion. I have been fortunate in my career to work with amazingly talented men who have seen my value, who have supported me, gave me space to share my thinking, mentored me, sponsored me, and advocated for me. So in my journey, I have seen the value of how working together truly brings the benefit to the business and company performance. Before I wrap up, I want to share one example of this. I know Isabel mentioned the Fearless Girl statue, but before this conference, how many of you in the room knew of the Fearless Girl statue? Okay, more than I was thinking, great. As a marketer, the greatest and most meaningful campaign I had the gift of working on was the creation of this statue, who the statue was placed on Wall Street on International Women's Day in 2017 to promote the power of women in leadership. After we placed the statue, which I was working at State Street Global Advisors at the time, which we had, by the way, no idea that the statue would ignite a global conversation around the importance of women in leadership the way it did. I mean, we were sitting in a room as we were coming up with this idea, and we dreamt of it. We said, imagine if, but we had no idea that that dream would become a reality. We placed the statue in the middle of the night, so when the sun rose in the morning, the world would see the statue staring down the famous bull on Wall Street, which, by the way, that bull was placed there to represent the strength of the American economy. The statue generated social conversations across 6 continents. There were tweets from Chelsea Clinton to Ariana Huffington, Emma Watson, and Ariana Grande, to name a few. Before we knew it, she had her own Wikipedia page, and there was a petition to make her permanent, which we had only had a permit with the state of New York and the Department of Transportation for the first 2 weeks. So that was key, and we did not start that petition, the public did. So she literally took the world by storm. So it was then that we started to receive many calls from companies asking the marketing team to come and to share the ideation of Fearless Girl statue. What was the meaning, what was the purpose, and talk about the marketing aspect of it. So at that time, the marketing team was led by a man. So what did he do? He looked at me and he said, "You need to tell the story." So it was in that moment that I realized the impact of gender diversity and the shift that I was about to witness. So with that, I was blessed to travel the world, quite literally, from California to Japan to Australia, to tell that story of the Fearless Girl. And she literally became my 4th child. We did a lot of traveling together, which many times as I was giving my speech or having my talk, I was asked and challenged by men, asking if we were expecting them to be completely excluded from the conversation and from leadership, at which my response was pretty consistent. It is not about exclusion, it's about inclusion. So with that, my friends, it's been a journey filled with challenges and victories, and I am proud of the progress that we've made. Now, I ask everyone in this room, together, let's break down these barriers, navigate the path to gender equity, and create a more just and prosperous world for all. Be bold, be fearless, and most importantly, be you. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ms. Ribeiro. At this time, we would like to open up the floor to any questions for our guest this morning.
Talking about my mother and my sister, I'm like, I hope I don't cry. So I'm glad that I did not yet.
Hi, Dominica. I wanted to know if there's a quote that you live by.
Quote that I live by. So yes, be bold, be fearless, and be you. It's my own quote, by the way.
Hi, how important is personal branding in your professional journey?
Very important. So, I have a little bit of time. I can tell a quick story. Love stories. So I was working at Fidelity at the time, and I was at Fidelity for 14 years, and I was recruiting somebody to come on my team. So I had started to work with a recruiter, and at that point, I'm working with the recruiter, and I'm explaining what I do, and he's like, "Huh," and he's typing away. He said, "You don't exist." It's like, "What do you mean I don't exist? I work at Fidelity. I've been here for 14 years. I'm like killing it. How do I not exist?" And he said, "You don't exist in the database. I've never heard of you." I'm like, "What?" And so it was at that point I realized, wait, hold on. I think a personal brand, but only within my little bubble of the world in Fidelity at the time. I was like, this is crazy. So I ended up working with a coach who helped to educate me on the importance of personal brand, especially in the industry, and the significance behind making sure that we're talking about our voices and being heard, making sure that people know who you are, what you stand for, what's important to you, what your value system is. And so it was just that at that moment that I realized, okay, I really need to work on that, and I need to extend my outside of my comfort zone, if you will, to extend my networking and conversations that I'm having with people outside of my small bubble, which is exactly why I'm here today. And I can tell you, you can tell I'm a little nervous being here, but I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone to help present and share my personal brand, which it's funny because as I was talking this morning to my husband, and I said, "Oh, all right, I gotta get out, gotta be on and be ready," and he's like, "You keep doing these things. Why do you keep doing these things?" And I said, "You know why I keep doing these things? Because I am hoping that if I can change even one thought in one person's mind who is self-doubting themselves on what they have the ability to do, that's why I'm doing this." So when I think of personal brand, that's what I think of.
Hi.
Hi.
What are some other gender diversity initiatives from other activists similar to Fearless Girl that you are proud to see in today's society?
Yeah, so for me, one that comes to thought is Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. So I don't know if anybody has read that book or watched the YouTube videos or whatnot, but that was really significant for me at that time when that book was published. I think it was published back in about a decade ago, maybe-ish, and still relevant today. And then it was like really important because oftentimes if you did have a spot at the table, you might not have been speaking up, or you might have not have been engaged with to speak up, and you really had to force yourself into that conversation, which, trust me, I've done many times. But that book and that movement that Sheryl created really made a difference for, I think, many people in the world and many women in the world. So that was one that comes to mind.
That's all the time we have for questions, but please, let's thank our alumni guest, Dominica Ribeiro, one last time.
Thank you.
Gotta flip the pages. So at this time, we would like to introduce and present our first Journey Award. Throughout today's ceremony, we will be giving away 4 total Journey Awards. 1 to a Dean College student, 1 to a staff member, 1 to an alumni, and 1 to a community member. Now, these recipients were chosen because they have paved the path with others inspired change through their voices, and also have made significant changes in the communities in which they live and that they work. So now, at this time, I would like to welcome up Virginia Burt to introduce our first Journey Award to a Dean College student. My apologies. It is actually Jordan Cullen coming to the stage. Give her an actual round of applause.
Sorry, I have to flip more pages. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Cullen, and I'm a senior dance and business management double major and treasurer of the Women in Business Club. It is my honor and pleasure to present our first Dean College Journey Award to one of our current students, Fatima Wujahat. She's right in the camera. Earlier this semester, I had the privilege of meeting Fatima and filming a video for this conference. Through our short meeting, I was able to see that Fatima is kind, well-spoken, and very passionate about her art. Fatima is an amazing artist who came to Dean in the fall from Afghanistan. She uses her art to give a voice to the voiceless and to spread messages of hope to all who see her art. She not only creates digital art, which can be seen on her social media at fatima_art.404, everybody should follow, but since coming to Dean, she has explored new mediums and forms of art with the guidance of Professor Amy Adams. She has created over 200 pieces of artwork, some of which are showcased along the back wall today. Please take some time to check it out in between sessions. This past December, Fatima was able to hold an exhibit of her art at the Franklin Public Library entitled Diary of a Dreamer. This exhibit celebrated resilience, collaboration, and strength. I'd like to show you a quick video highlighting Fatima's journey. This video was created specifically for this conference by two of Dean College's talented communication students, Mackenzie Nasworth and Amanda Shields.
Jihad, and I'm from Kabul, Afghanistan, and I'm an artist and activist. I was in Afghanistan and before the coming of the Taliban, so I was a street artist and I was working with the artists. And then when the Taliban came, I started doing my digital artworks. At the very first time, I was doing my arts with my cell phone to share my message and my story from Afghanistan because I was in Afghanistan. And then I got my tablet and I found more opportunities to improve my voice and to share my voice for people. Before I got a scholarship, I moved to Pakistan. And I was a refugee in Pakistan for 6 months. Then I got my scholarship and I came here and now I'm a student at Dean College.
I met Fatima at the start of the semester last year, and it's been, I would say, an amazing exchange of culture. I've learned a lot from her, and just has been such a wonderful gift to be able to exchange information and cover new ground. I'm so happy to be working with her and just actually see this part of her journey take place. Definitely is wonderful to see her growth from the beginning of the year to now.
Since I came here, now I'm getting used to with the pens. Before coming here, I was using digital artwork. I was doing digital artwork. Now I'm doing with the pens and the colors.
I had a lucky opportunity to collaborate with Fatima. And for me, as an art history major, I love to collaborate with artists, any kind of visual art form. And so they said, oh, we have this woman coming here for the semester who is a visual artist. And so they connected me to Amy, who then told me her story. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a perfect project for what I would like to do. And so then we got started on the project ahead of meeting Fatima and using her online presence. And we discussed women's oppression, and we started generating some movement designs. And then we had Fatima come to a rehearsal, and then she shared her whole story with us, and it was very, very powerful. And then the piece went from there.
I'm healing through art. The art for me is the art journey is a voice, and I'm a voice for voices. I think every woman's stories again inspire me to do my artwork. I want to continue my art, and I want to share the voices through my art.
behalf of the Dean College Women in Business Club and the Women in Business Event Planning class, I'd like to present you with our first ever Student Journey Award. Your art serves as a catalyst for encouraging us all to use our voices and to take action for what is right and just. Thank you again to Fatima and to Mackenzie and Amanda for creating that video. Fatima's art is on display today, and you can learn more about each piece of art by scanning the barcode on the poster displayed near her artwork. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan, and congratulations to Fatima. Before we take a quick break for coffee and networking, I would like to introduce Nora Rodas, WIB social media guru, to give you a quick and exciting announcement.
Hi everyone, my name's Nora. I'm a marketing major with a minor in dance and communication. I'm head of Women in Business Marketing, and I just wanted to say, are we having fun today? Everyone have coffee? No? Oh, I did. So today I invite you all to follow our Instagram if you don't already. We are going to be raffling 2 Patriots tickets. So as long as you follow us on our Instagram and are present by the end of the conference, you're able to win and you have a chance. Are you ready? One last thing. If you do follow us already, you've seen my takeover. So I just want to have a little boomerang for everyone. Just saying hi. So are you guys ready? Okay. Ready? Go. Okay. Come on, you guys can be louder. I know, I get it. It's 9:30, but come on, you can be louder. Again. Okay, I'll take it. We're going to be back here. We're going to take a short little 10-minute break, and we'll be back here and for our next session, and you're not going to want to miss it. It's definitely my favorite, and it's going to be your favorite, and there's so much more going on, okay? Bye!
We will be back in between 10 to 15 minutes for our second session. Please have coffee and network.
Okay, come. Yep, put that down.
Thank you so much.
Lift that back up for whoever's next.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, guests. We will be getting started shortly, promptly at 10, so please start making your way back to your seats. Please, everyone, return to your seats at this time. If you're one of our friends standing, I kindly ask you to take a step closer to the side wall or the back wall. Great. Thank you, and welcome to the second session of the Women in Business Conference. We're going to start this session a bit differently than our last, so I ask you to join me in putting your hands together to welcome the business show fashion models.
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, do you know I got it? All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Just a little bit, hey, baby, just a little bit. Just a little bit, mister, just a little bit.
Testing? Better? Good morning! My name is Thea Serio. I'm the Director of Career Planning and Internships. Thank you, Scarlett Fontaine Lynch, and all of my amazing models up there for putting themselves on display. Only 5 of the 9 models up there have received a stamp of approval for an interview-ready outfit. So I would love for you to take some time at your table to discuss who amongst them you think are appropriate and maybe could use a little bit of tweaking before they go out for a corporate interview, okay? So keep corporate in mind there because there's a lot of leeway. So take a few minutes to discuss.
I think more than 5 are okay.
5 of the 9 are appropriate. The room got quiet. I assume that means you're done conferring. Yeah. Oh, clarifying question. Is it for in-person or Zoom? In-person. Okay. Great question. In-person interview, not Zoom, so no mullet. No business on top, party on the bottom. All right, any brave volunteer? Does a table want to volunteer to say which numbers they think are not going to make the cut? What do you got?
Nobody else raised their hand.
There you go.
Do you want me to go? Yeah? Okay. So the ones who need tweaks,
Yep.
I would say, or I think we all agree, are 3, 6, and 7.
Yep, thank you thank you for volunteering and being brave. Thank you, our wonderful models. You can now come off the stage. We thank you very much for your showcasing of appropriate and inappropriate attire. I think one thing to note in all of this is there were some outfits that were cuspy up there, right? And the most important thing to do when preparing for an interview is to do your research. What you really want to do is you want to dress a step above what everybody else in the office wears on a daily basis. So if you are interviewing in corporate America and there are suits every day, you are wearing a suit to that interview. But if you are interviewing at Google and it's jeans and a t-shirt, then khakis and a button-down shirt would be absolutely appropriate for that interview. It's all about doing your research to make sure that you're prepared for that interview. So thank you again to our wonderful models. And I'd like to, at this point, plug the Opportunities Fair that is happening directly after this event on our concourse. We have more than 30 employers and graduate schools and study away opportunities here from 12 to 2. So if you want to come and do a little bit of professional networking and figure out what kind of opportunities might be available for you, we welcome you to come to that event. If you do not feel like you are dressed appropriately for that, we have some clothing available in the back. You can feel free to rummage through and take whatever you want and keep from our clothing closet. And if anybody in this room has any donations, we are gladly accepting clothing for our clothing closet. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Thea, and all our wonderful models. First impressions are incredibly important, so I don't know about you guys, but I was definitely taking some mental notes for that one. So at this time, I would like to welcome Ajani to the stage to present our second Journey Award to a Dean College staff member.
Hello, thank you all for coming. My name is Ajanique Richey. I'm a junior here at Dean College studying Arts and Entertainment Management. It's an honor to present Dean College's first ever Staff Journey Award to Miss Catherine Kennedy. Would you mind coming up on the stage with me? Miss Kennedy's journey spans 78 years. Her professional and personal journey has been, and I quote, unexpected, exciting, challenging, daunting, at times dangerous, and just plain wonderful. She was born in Dorchester, Boston, raised by a family that believed in hard work, caring for others, being a good citizen to her community, and being well educated. Ms. Kennedy can be recognized for her work in newspaper journalist, where she dedicates her voice to share the untold stories of people of color in the 70s and 60s. She was one of 4 black global reporters who covered the Supreme Court desegregation ruling, better known as the busing crisis in Boston. The Boston Global coverage of this difficult time in our nation's history earned her and her team the 1970s Pulitzer Prize for Public Service. After her journey as a journalist, Ms. Kennedy entered higher education at Boston University and spent 22 years there as a director of Thurman Center. As a director, she proudly carried on Dr. Thurman's work of divineness that separate people based on issues of race, culture, ethnicity, gender, religion, and sexual identity. After retiring as a director, Catherine joined Dean College in September of 2022 as the Chief of Staff to President Elmore. At this time, I'd like to show a short video produced and edited by Dean College's own Colton Coiler, a freshman communications major here at Dean College. This little video highlights a little more of Ms. Kennedy's journey.
I'm Catherine Kennedy. Actually, I say I'm Catherine Jane Kennedy. I am the Chief of Staff to the President of Dean College. And I came to Dean College at the invitation of the President, who I had worked with at our previous institution. I was a newspaper journalist, and I thought I was going to live and die a newspaper reporter. So my journey into higher education and working with young people was not in my plan, but obviously it has become one of the most important aspects of my career. I've had to face challenges my entire life, from my childhood of being a child that had tuberculosis when it was a major killer in the 50s, in the 1950s, and being institutionalized in a sanatorium for 3 years, to when I got out, going to school and having to learn how to be social again with my own age group, which I was not used to. And then as in growing up in Boston, going to Boston public schools, which were not only racially segregated, they were sexually segregated, so that I never went to school with boys. And so I think that also has had an impact on my life. I used it for myself and for others, because I think and I'm saying this because as an older adult now, and as I look back over my life, I've come to realize that even though I've changed careers, there are patterns in my life that have been the same, and I have always welcomed and embraced friendships. I think they are important. They were when I was younger, they still are. And I was raised to believe in education, in community, in faith, in church. And so I guess I would say that I'm a social person, and I love bringing people together, particularly people who are different from each other. I think young people have to realize that in your journey, you are growing and changing, and so on all of the people around you, whether it's your peer group or whether it's older adults. But I think once you find who you are, and one of my mentors was Dr. Howard Thurman, who believed in the unity of all people, and I've spent a good part of my life preaching his messages. And he believed that when you can go down deep inside yourself, really know who you are, and are secure in who you are, then you can find yourself in every other human being. And even before I became familiar with Dr. Thurman's philosophy, I lived that myself, so that I was always trying to bring girlfriends together who were different. It didn't always work, but it never made me stop. I continued to try to make new friends based on difference, and not just finding people who are like me. I think that as long as you are breathing and living, that it is important to realize you are constantly growing, having new experiences, and hopefully you're giving back and sharing that with others.
Thank you for that. And on behalf of Dean College, the Women in Business Club, and our event planning class, I'd like to present to you Ms. Kennedy, our first ever Staff of Journey Award.
This is very overwhelming, and I thank you. This whole event has been very emotional because it just makes me know why this place was another step in my personal journey and my professional journey. And you know, I spent some 22 years, as it was said, sharing the philosophies of Dr. Howard Thurman at Boston University with many, many students and my former colleagues. But there is one of his messages that I'd like to share, especially for the young people of Dean today. And it is simply this: there is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. So as Dominica said earlier, find your voice. Be secure in who you are, and don't be afraid to take that step that seems so impossible. Because if you are determined to do it, as Dominica has done, I have done, and others have done, you will succeed. And the other thing that's most important that Dominica also said that resonated with me, I also had mentors and supporters. So always look for someone that you admire, and they will change over the years as you grow. Look for that person. It doesn't have to, it can be at school, it can be in your community, it can be in your family. But someone who you know has your back, who has your best interest, and will help you continue to grow in the direction you want to go. Again, thank you so much. I am deeply, deeply honored and very emotional about this. Thank you. And I just have to say one thing. As a former newspaper journalist, I have to give Colton some praise, because I don't know where he got all those pictures. They are real over periods of my life, but thank you. It was beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, Ajani.
Congratulations again, and thank you so much for joining us. At this time, I would like to welcome Margaret Christie to the stage to introduce our next keynote speaker for you all today.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited you could all be here with us today. My name is Margaret Christie, and I'm a senior marketing and dance double major here at Dean. I'm also a conference co-chair for the Women in Business Club. I'm very honored to be introducing the next speaker to you all today. Not only has she had an amazing career that any one of us would be lucky to replicate, but she is someone who I actually had a connection with instantly, as we happen to share the same name. It is my honor to introduce to you all today Maggie Cohan. Maggie is the New England region head of private wealth management for Goldman Sachs. Prior to her current role, she was a private wealth advisor working with wealthy families, family offices, and institutions in the Boston office. In that role, she was a member of the Advisors Council, the Investment Experience Group, the Market Intelligence Group, and the regional captain of institutional client relation efforts in New England. Maggie initially joined the firm as a summer associate in 1999 and rejoined the firm in 2000 as an associate. She was named managing director in 2023. Prior to joining Goldman Sachs, Maggie managed reform projects in the former Soviet Union for the U.S. Agency for international development, and the International Finance Corporation. Maggie is also a member of the board of directors of the John T. Gorman Foundation, a nonprofit founded by a member of the LL Bean family. She's also a co-founder of and member of the Grants Committee of Ukrainian Democracy Activists Crisis Fund. Previously, Maggie served on investment committees for the Maine Community Foundation and the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. Maggie earned her BA with honors in Russian Studies from Amherst College, where she was a Samuel Wally Brown Scholar. She also earned her MBA in Finance from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Please help me welcome Ms. Khan to the stage with a warm round of applause.
Margaret or Bella is understating this strangeness of meeting her and meeting someone who's named Margaret Christie, because that's how I'm born, Margaret Christie as well. I married Cohan. I just sort of, fell into that one. So it's very fun, and also from Maine. So I loved meeting another Mainer with exactly my same name. It's just crazy. So before I just want to say this is just tremendous. Like had I been first on stage like you, I would have probably been as nervous, but like the community here is just overwhelming. What you all have done with this conference, I've never seen anything like it, with just the range of sort of experiences that you're giving to each other, and it's just really wonderful to be here. So thank you for that. As Bella said, so I'm Maggie Christie Cohan. I'm the region head for private wealth management for Goldman Sachs in New England. And that's a role that I've had for about 2 years, but I've been at Goldman Sachs for about 24 years, working as an advisor to high net worth individuals and families and endowments, and college endowments like Dean College. I'm actually going to talk less about that, but I'm happy to answer questions at the end. I thought I'd spend a little bit more time on a stranger journey that I had early in my career that's a little bit more at the time, sort of some of the folks in the room back in my 20s. But to give you a sense of my background, and I think this sort of leads into the sort of find your voice and find your journey. I grew up in Maine, as I said. I was a tomboy. I played a lot of sports. I hung out with my dog, and I tried to hang out with my brother and his friends when they would let me. And that was kind of the way my childhood went. I was very lucky. My parents gave me a good education, a peaceful life, and never held me back from opportunities, and I'm very grateful for that. In high school, I had my first opportunity to travel to what was then the Soviet Union. That was in 1987, and then again in 1989 with my high school soccer team. It was a time when the Berlin Wall was coming down, and the Soviet Union was dissolving, and it was a very, very different time in terms of our international relations and our relationship with those countries than it is today. On that second trip, when I was a senior in high school with my soccer team, we spent almost a week in the city of Minsk in Belarus. And we got to know the team that we were playing with, a group of young women, and spent time with them on the field, and then time in the hotels afterwards, and we'd have to huddle in the corner of the lobby. And it was actually illegal for them to be visiting with us at the time. They were followed, and so we spent time, but we had to be really careful about what we said. And how much we talked, but through an interpreter, we kind of huddled up in the lobby and we talked about their life. And I was about 18 at the time, and I heard stories about abuse, alcoholism, discrimination, and a lot of things that I was fortunate enough to never have had exposure to at that time. But we also talked about things that we had in common, and those things were sports, curiosity, compassion, drive, humor, and strength. And you could see it in all of the conversations, even through interpreters, that we all shared these kind of qualities. But these conversations made me determined to learn the Russian language. I didn't like hearing these things through an interpreter, and I became fascinated with the area and the region. So I went back and I studied Russian studies in college. And in 1991, I went abroad and I studied in Moscow for 6 months. And this was when the Soviet Union dissolved and President Gorbachev stepped down. And I lived in a dorm. I lived with a lot of cockroaches. I stood in bread lines for food and had food stamps. And it was, I had some ability to travel throughout the region to Soviet Georgia and Uzbekistan and Ukraine. But it was, as you can imagine, a life-changing event. You see the world in a very different way after something like that. So I came back to college after that for my senior year, and it looked really different. I thought, wow, this looks like a country club. I've got to sort of resettle in here. But I, went back to enjoying all of it because, frankly, you guys, college is the best. Enjoy it. And so I went back and played soccer and played sports. I played both soccer and lacrosse. Lacrosse was my better sport, but I think I actually learned the most from soccer. And the reason is because I sat on the bench, and I was really not that great. But what I was great at was from that sort of aluminum perch, cheering on my teammates. And that team quality, like truly understanding teamwork and what it's like to support other people, is something that I've carried on to this day. I mean, my poor kids, when I go to their hockey game, I won't shut up. But it's really wonderful in other respects when I'm working with other people in a team setting. So after I graduated, I took a job with an American nonprofit, and we were working on, again, you gotta remember this is a different time, we were supporting reform efforts in what was now Russia and Ukraine and Georgia. And my job was to work on programs that helped support civic organizations or nonprofit organizations or NGOs. And these organizations couldn't exist under the communist system because there was no freedom of expression or organization. And now you had groups, civic organizations that were, there to help support women's rights, right? Environmental preservation, decent housing in your community. And we may take all these things for granted here because it's just a part of our lives, but you can think about things from the Special Olympics to the Jimmy Fund to a housing cooperative, all the way down to the organization, the people that organized this very conference. That ability to organize and do something didn't exist there. So what we did was we put together conferences. We had an office in Moscow and a lot of Americans and Russians working together at the time. And we would kind of look at the map, 11 time zones long, and we'd pick a city, and we'd go. And we'd fly in, we'd sort of reach out through interviews, media, outreach, or go to the local town hall. We'd find people who were civic activists, and we'd invite them to a seminar. We'd have trainers and educators fly in from Romania and Germany and Czechoslovakia, places where they'd already gone through some transition, to come talk to them about how they could recruit members and fundraise and organize. And honestly, they couldn't have been more enthusiastic about it. Those first few years was just astounding in the amount of energy that was felt around this. And they truly felt this enthusiasm about the potential for having a voice to create change. So after a couple years in that role with the nonprofit, I switched. I was able to go work for the U.S. government in the same capacity. I learned a little bit more about grant management and our diplomatic efforts and how the U.S. government funding works, but all still focused on the same issue of democratic reform in these areas. And yes, I truly understand how much of a failure it was, right? So my friends and I, who we did this together, we say, oh, that's our first failed startup, right? I mean, we did not succeed. But, and again, we could never do it now, but I'm very appreciative that we had the time to do it then. So I was there too long. I was starting to lose it. I'd come back and, I had a fur-lined hood and a leather jacket, and I was like all squirrely, and my friends were like, what happened to you? So I thought, okay, I gotta come back and get regrounded. So I came back to the States for a little while, and honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I had this thing going, and if I wasn't gonna be there, who was I, right? So I started to try different things, and I consulted here, and I took an unpaid internship at an international news station, which you can figure out who it was, and I was doing it with college kids. I was 26 or 27 years old, but I wanted to sort of explore these different careers, and I think, in the scheme of things, like, taking a sort of a risk like that and just sort of checking something out was really valuable. So they put me on their news magazine, and they had me making phone calls, to get information on, honestly, I was digging up dirt. That's what I realized. Like, they could make you call, try to find a story, and so it was interesting. I had a really interesting opportunity to work with the gentleman who was the first person to interview bin Laden. And those of you guys remember at the time, bin Laden was, he was the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks. So this was in 1996 that I was working with him, and obviously we all know what happened in 2001. So an interesting time, but I did decide media was not what I wanted to do. Applied to graduate school, didn't get in, right? things don't always happen the way you want. I didn't get to go where I wanted to, so I went back out. I went back out to Russia. I was like, okay, that's all I can do. What am I going to do? And so I went back out and worked on economic reform and some privatization work. And I think, on the theme of being a woman in these different roles, I'd say, in that scenario, being a young woman in a society that has some issues with seeing economic, seeing women and men on the same level. Being a young woman created issues. It was harder to get things done. But oddly, being an American young woman and doing what I do also created more opportunity, in that there was a certain amount of respect that I got because I was trying to push the envelope here. And so you had to really be very aware of your surroundings and who was in the room and whether you were being taken for granted. It was a really interesting time in terms of gender dynamics. And I can't say that I always got it right, but I was acutely aware of it all the time. So anyway, that was, I think, something that I learned from. I hope I don't have to live in that world again. I'm glad that we at least have some of the freedoms and recognition and all the good stuff that Dominica was talking about. At least it's better here. So in the late 1990s, I was still out there. The sort of wave of democratic change was starting to wear off, and the lure of money was becoming more of an attraction. And so I saw a number of things, some of that was important, right? Because change can't happen, and this was one of my realizations, without financial backing in a lot of these kind of situations. So, for example, we were privatizing companies into bankruptcy. You can't run a company if you don't have any capital. These civic organizers, they're trying to fix the leaky pipes in their apartment building. You can't do it if you don't have money for plumbing. Right, so I did realize that you needed to create some money was an important part of reform. And so with that, I decided to go to business school, and I wrote a business school application to sort of try to understand how capital flowed in order to have real concrete change. I went to business school. Frankly, it kicked my tail. It was hard. It's not easy. What you guys do is not easy. All that, it's statistics, not easy. Accounting, not easy. But these are good skills to have, and they were very helpful. I applied to Goldman Sachs not knowing a ton about what the firm did, to be perfectly honest, and I had a really good recruiter who taught me a few other things, or I learned a few other things in the process. And what I learned was what we want to do and what drives us is as much about where you are, what the title is, what the industry is how do you want to spend your time and who do you want to be? And what I realized was I love working directly with the people I'm trying to help. If I move away from that into bureaucracy, shuffling paper, it's just not as rewarding for me. And so that was something really, really important for me. I love the fact that every day I'm learning. There's never a dull moment in the financial markets. I do not know enough about what's going on today to be able to speak to my clients, and I have to constantly think about getting back on that. And I always want to look for a way that I can work in an environment where I can make my community better. So those were wonderful things that in this job as a financial advisor I was able to do. My greatest concern was really, am I going to be able to continue to express my values and pursue the things that I care about? And I'll tell you, almost 24 years later, I found that I am able to do that. I work with spectacular clients who have ambitious plans to improve the environment around them. Dean College, you guys right here. I mean, this institution is such a wonderful place that is sort of feeding all of us the great energy today. But to be able to be a part of these things is really fantastic. I sit on boards of nonprofits that support underprivileged communities. You just mentioned the John T. Gorman Foundation. On Tuesday, I went to see the Resiliency Center in Lewiston, Maine, where the victims of the shooting disaster are receiving emotional, financial support. So it was a really, really compelling day. I work with clients to create portfolios that express their values as it relates to in their portfolios through whether it's an environmental value, social change, or good governance. We call it ESG, but we're always sort of thinking about that. And yesterday I worked on one of those portfolio analyses. And frankly, I was able to raise a family. I've got 2 kids. They're about your age, 21 and 24, and they're the pride of my life. They're fantastic, and to be able to be with them and watch them grow. I always have to say I also have a husband, and he definitely gets shafted in this because I have a dog that I love more than anything in the world. So, but having all of that in my life has created a really rich and life. So I'm happy to talk more about my career now and things like that. But what I would say is I know that like a lot of that doesn't sound like it makes any sense. It doesn't necessarily relate to you. But I kind of would just ask, like, go back to the beginning and what I talked about. Like maybe I did this weird Russia thing, but what compelled me was that first conversation with those soccer players in Minsk, when I realized for me sports, right? Curiosity, compassion, drive, humor, and strength. These were the things that were part of me, that connected me with them, that have driven me forward in my career. And then when I got to Goldman and realizing, working directly with the people I wanted to help, super important to me. Learning every day, never letting it be dull, and finding new ways to make the community better around me were important drivers. So if I have one more minute, I'll tell you a couple of pieces of advice, and they dovetail really well with the things that Dominica said. My unsolicited advice to you is say yes to new opportunities. Something comes your way, don't be afraid of it. If it looks interesting, go do it. Give it a try. Be bold as you pursue them. So when you take something on, dive in. Do it to the best of your abilities. Work hard at the things that interest you because they will create the next opportunity. Don't lose sight of what you care about. It is important, and thank you, Kathleen Kennedy, for pointing that out. That's got to be a theme throughout your life. You'll know when you start to miss it. It might take you a little bit, but you'll see it. You will doubt yourself. We all do. You have to find ways to push through that. And so when you have that voice that pops up, find ways to deal with it and to manage it. Everyone has it, but you do need to push through because you can do this. Seek balance. You may never actually find balance, but you have to keep seeking it. It's a really important thing to add to your life. And then lastly, just believe in yourself, but more importantly, do, act, engage, and step forward. You'll find through action alone, you'll believe more in yourself as you go along. So with that, I will pause, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Maggie. We do have time for one question.
Yes. Oh, good. Sorry, you don't need to read yours. Here we go.
How you doing? My name is Darren Appier. I'm a student here, business management. I wanted to know, how did you sell yourself from others who wanted the same job as you?
It's a good question. So I guess I got to take two parts because I didn't know I wanted this job, which was a little weird. So right. But how could one set themselves apart? There's a few things that I think we're looking for in this career that make you really good at a career in wealth management or investment management. You should have good communication skills, right? You need to be able to connect with people, digest information, and relay it really well. So when you're interviewing for jobs, like be thoughtful and be ready to kind of present your story and tell it with a good comfort and ease. We're looking for people who are analytical and have good, detail orientation. If you guys are doing a resume, have 3 people look at it. There shouldn't be an error on your resume. It's really, really basic. So teamwork is important. So I think you guys can lean on that. Showing that you have really good ethics and judgment. And so being thoughtful about that. And then just overall initiatives. So those are some things we look for. I think it's always great to try to get experience, like in the industries, anywhere that you can. It gets you a little bit of a foothold, but I think you can demonstrate a lot of those other things in an interview, and generally those are the types of things we're looking for. So, and I'm happy to chat anytime. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Do you have any final thoughts? I know you gave us advice, but do you have any final thoughts for our guests today?
I'd just say, enjoy this. I really do love what you guys have done in this space. It's just this is just such a great conference. And so whatever energy it is here today, I hope you can bottle it up and find a way to keep it going because it's a great day. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Maggie Cohen. Give her that round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you all. So before we conclude session 2 and give you another chance to connect and network, we would like to present one more Journey Award to celebrate the remarkable journey of one of our own alumni. So at this time, can I please have Veronica Mello, co-VP of the Women in Business Club, please join me on stage to present our Alumni Journey Award.
Hi everyone, my name is Veronica Mello and I am a senior business management major and co-vice president of the Women in Business Club. It is an honor and pleasure to present this Alumni Journey Award to Kayla Morris. In the heart of Lincoln, Rhode Island, Kayla's journey into the world of baking began with a sprinkle of inspiration and a dash of nostalgia. From her earliest memories, the aroma of freshly baked treats wafting through the kitchen stirred something deep within her soul. After years of honing her craft and cultivating her skills, Kayla embarked on the heartfelt mission to share her love for baking with her community. In the quaint corners of Lincoln, she opened the doors of Ginger Snap Bakery, a cozy haven where every confection tells a story and every bite evokes a sense of warmth and comfort. For Kayla, Ginger Snap Bakery isn't just a business, it's a labor of love and a tribute to the cherished memories of her past and a celebration of the joy that comes from indulging in life's simple pleasures. From the moment customers step through the door, they're greeted not just by the scent of freshly baked goods, but by the welcoming embrace of a place that feels like home. At this time, I would like to play a video filmed and edited for this event by Dean College student Skylar Raskovitz.
My name is Kayla Morris, and I live and work in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and I am a graduate and alum of Dean College, where I went to school for business management from 2012 to 2015.
How long have you been baking for?
I think I've probably been baking since I was a teenager, so I'd say at least 15 years now. Professionally, I've been baking probably 12 now, so it's been quite a while. But it definitely started as a hobby at first.
What was the hardest part of creating your own business?
The best way to put it is that there's no rule book. Nobody hands you a manual and says, follow these steps and you will be successful. So much of creating the business had to be in the tiniest little increments, taking like one tiny step forward and then almost getting sent like 3 steps back every time. I was able to get a loan to start my business, but a lot of people aren't in that position, and a lot of people have to go to several different avenues to get funding. Your state and your local town government and all of the health department and all of these different larger entities that have control over you and have the control to say you can do this, you can't do that. So it's a whole lot of learning rules that you never knew existed.
Recently, what was a milestone you reached within your business?
Most recently, we hit 5 years in business in January. And as everybody says, a small business that survives 5 years is generally a good, you can kind of wipe the sweat off your brow to know that you've made it this half a decade. And within that, we have made it through COVID. That pretty much reconstructed the food service industry in the last 3 years. But they taught me a lot of lessons, and reaching the 5 years kind of felt like I could finally sit back and pat myself on the back a little bit.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
A lot is shifting personally in my life, getting married and having a baby this year. So it's going to be, I think, a huge pivot that I was not quite anticipating until next year. I think another location would be amazing, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the next 5 years. It seems daunting right now.
What made you want to start your own business?
My mom has owned a business for 43 years now. So I grew up in a business. I grew up living day to day in a small business, and that atmosphere, that way of life is what I'm used to. I'm used to knowing that I have to go with mom to work, or I have to, I have to answer the phone if it rings, and I have to clean up after, and I have to do my part in helping. So I think that that lifestyle was something that I always knew I wanted to continue.
Do you have any advice for college students trying to find their voice or journey?
Gain as much experience in anything you're interested in before making huge steps. If I did not actually work in the fields and get experience myself prior to making a jump like this, I think I would have probably crashed and burned a long time ago. You give up a lot to do what you love. So I always say, try everything first.
Kayla, please join me on stage. On behalf of the Dean College Women in Business and our club and our event planning class, I'd like to present to you our first ever Alumni Journey Award. The success you have experienced in your entrepreneurial journey has shown us that it is possible to do what you love and be successful if you are willing to put the work and time into it.
It's a long walk. Thank you well, thank you so much to Kayla Morris, and congratulations. Let's give her another round of applause. We will now be taking a short break for you to connect, network, and of course, devour these delicious treats on your tables before we come back together for our final session beginning at 11 a.m. Thank you. Hello, friends. This is your 3-minute warning until we start our final session. 3 minutes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our third and final session of the Women in Business Conference. Let's give it up for everyone who's spoken so far and all of our guests. So to begin our final session together, we would like to give away our last Journey Award of this year. So our fourth and final Journey Award will be presented by Caitlin Davis, Conference Co-Chair.
Thank you, Addie. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Davis, and I am a junior business management major here at Dean College, as well as one of the founding members of the Women in Business Club here at Dean. It is my honor and privilege to present the final Journey Award to not one, but two amazing, remarkable women, Melissa Fernandez and Michelle Greenwood. Unfortunately, the ladies were unable to make it today, but we still have highlighted their journey. Melissa and Michelle are the owners of Fiore and Fern, a local floral and gift shop in downtown Franklin, soon to have a new location at 138 East Central Street. They both have been supporters of the Women in Business Club at Dean College. They welcomed our club back in October and shared to their store and shared more about their entrepreneurial journey. I was lucky enough to be hired as their intern, and now I'm hired as a current employee. I'm so grateful for all that I've learned from these two amazing women. Now I would like to play a video that highlights their journey, filmed and edited by communications student Miro McIntyre Clare.
I'm Michelle Greenwood. I am a co-owner of Fiore and Fern. I'm the Fiore. I live in Franklin, Massachusetts with my two children, Evie and Henry. They're 5 and 7 years old. This is my passion and my life. My journey was kind of, it found me, I guess. I went to school for sociology. I found it really challenging to stick with the business. I ended up out of school at TJX, which is a retail company, and I started working for buyers, and I learned so much from them and learned kind of like what my passion was, and it was working with product and working with people. During all these different places that I've worked in, I was working with a lot of women that were starting their lives and their careers, and with that comes sometimes babies and weddings, and I had a portfolio of flowers that I had been doing for friends. And so I thought I should turn this into a business. I thought I need a space to meet with brides to feel like this is a little bit more of a business versus meeting at the Starbucks. I needed a manager because I was so pregnant with my second. And my friend Melissa, who's now my business partner, and she's the Fern in Fiore and Fern, she was in between jobs, and her background was business management in restaurants. And then with her structure, me and her just kind of worked perfectly together with the yin and yang. And it's really hard to find somebody that you can align your brand with and feel 100% comfortable that like this person's gonna make the right choice for this. And so, you know, here we are, almost 6 years later in this spot that Melissa and me created together. Running this business has also opened up this huge network of women that I didn't even realize. You know, a lot of people, you guys are at Dean with a business network for women, but Franklin has that, and we didn't even know we created it. And it's wonderful. It's nice to be able to know the different business owners down the street and to collaborate when you guys, you know, when we have special projects, and telling them like, I love what you're doing, like keep up the good work. Like I think it's just being positive and feeling good about your choices and helping other people. Keep yourself professional and let them know. So I think that sometimes I felt like people talked to me like I was silly, young, stupid, because I was in my young 20s starting a business. And I think that I'm showing people that that's not the case, and that I think showing somebody in a world of men where everybody's, you know, making more money and doing the other things, showing them like what you bring to the table and having that confidence is the only way to kind of get through it. Does this person think I can do this? Does this person think I can do this? But it's like once you know that you're good at something and you can make it happen, like that confidence is unimaginable what it can do for you. So, you know, don't be stupid. You need to listen to people and get a well-rounded whatever, but it's important to like really feel like you're doing something, and whatever that business might be for you, that it's making a difference, and that it's driving you, you know.
Thank you, Miro, for such a great video highlighting the ladies' journeys. So on behalf of Dean College Women in Business Club in our event planning class, I would like to present our first ever community award, Community Journey Award. Melissa and Michelle's successes that they have experienced on their entrepreneurial journey has shown us that anything is possible when you stay true to yourselves at work and work together in a community of women. This time, I'd like to invite Scarlett Fontaine-Lynch to the stage to introduce our next special guest.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hello, everyone. My name is Scarlett Fontaine-Lynch, a junior marketing major, social media content curator, and chair on the Connect Committee for Women in Business. At this time, I would like to invite Dean College graduate and published poet Micah Rich to the stage. Please help me welcome them with a round of applause. Micah L. Rich is a New England poet and editor whose poetry explores themes of trauma and its effect on healing and identity. It values the strength and bravery found in vulnerability. Their work aims to provide an outlet for people struggling to find their own voices in a world that would often rather keep them quiet. Micah's poetry has appeared in literary journals collections such as The Advocate, Inkwell, Wingless Dreamers, Dark Poetry Collection, and as well as being published on nhpr.com. Their debut collection, This Is How Wildflowers Grow, was released in October of 2022 and can be found through Barnes & Noble or in person anywhere they perform. Micah is also a staff and slam team member with Slam Free or Die. They also work as a teacher and freelance editor, spending their free time exploring every nature reserve and hiking trail they can reach. At this time, I invite Micah to show how they use poetry as such a powerful means of expression.
On. Oh, there we go. Hi, hello, thank you everybody for having me here. It means so much to me to be here, and especially to be here representing queer and non-binary voices in this feminine space. I'm honestly having this whole full circle moment here because I realized today the first poem that I ever performed live happened on this stage. I performed in the school's first Survivor Showcase put on by the Brave Club. I have a brand new poem to share with you guys today, and if you like it, please come check out my book, which is for sale in the back, as well as some fun additional stickers and bookmarks and things that I'm really excited to share with you. So this is the poem. This poem is called Dirty Mouths. I never was a smoker. My militant mother, no stranger to addiction, sewed a healthy fear of cigarettes into the lining of my mind. My manipulative father ripped every lollipop and flower stem from between my teeth, scathing, "Why would you put such dirty things in your mouth?" Little does he know I've laid far unholier things atop my tongue than sugar and dirt, the most cursed of which being his name. The first boy I ever kissed told me I used too much tongue, like he was offended by my unyielding presence within my own mouth, my persistent existence a crime in a place he thought he had claimed. I learned to take up less space inside my own body. At 11, my parents gave me a metal wire cemented to my molars, attached to 3 fake teeth to fill the gap there I had been born with. The extra space never bothered me much, but the silver tore slivers out of my cheeks, and when removing it revealed more damage underneath, they told me not to worry. This thing meant to fix me had doubled my losses, and I learned that a mouth that only half works is what they wanted all along. I was a dancer for years, thought I knew how it felt to be trained. I once boasted my ability to blend into the rows of bodies indistinguishable in the same tight costumes with the same tight smiles. To this day, I cannot move and breathe and speak at the same time, too busy using all of my breath to hold myself into the shape they required of me. I learned that like the dancers, I am meant to be seen but not heard. I never knew there were so many ways to condition someone to silence, that the lesson is woven into the fabric of feminine experience. In the floral patterns of pink and patriarchal dominance describes someone pretty, petite, and silent. And I have never been good at any of that. I have never felt more strength than when I open my lips to let out the battle cry of all the silent wars I've fought. I have never felt more empowered than when my fellow poets fight to the front to tell me my words make them feel heard. My darlings, that is the entire point. They tried to shut our mouths for centuries, but we would write poetry, epics to express our greatest fears and our most elated joys. Now I know why they never wanted us to learn to use our mouths, because speaking up is the first step in a revolution. So join me as I bare all my missing teeth and spit with twice the sharpness. This mouth is a weapon and a medicine and a glass full of whiskey. This mouth can start fires and put them out, can send your head spinning and ground it down to earth with new clarity. All these things I would never know I could do if I had just kept it shut like they wanted me to. So I will smoke my joints, chew my flower stems, kiss boys and girls with all my tongue, and I will speak with such startling truth that it steals all the stale air from your lungs, and one day you will learn what it really means to be speechless. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. That was my
incredible, Micah. Sincerely, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Please join me in extending our deepest gratitude to Micah, who shared the power of their words and the vulnerability of their emotions. As Micah mentioned, they do have a table set up in the back if you would like to purchase their book or learn more about their poetry. Thank you again, Micah. At this time, I would like to invite Aileen Flores to the stage to properly introduce our third and final keynote speaker.
Wow. Hi, everyone. Some familiar faces I see. First off, I want to thank Professor Reese for being the backbone of this event, and our classmates and the Women in Business Club members as well. Thank you. Without this, it wouldn't have been possible. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Aileen Flores, and I'm a sport management major. Do we have any sport management majors in the room? No? That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. No worries. All right. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce Kathleen Rawls. She's an esteemed author, captivating speaker, accomplished coach, and a beacon of inspiration in the realm of education and business. I like to say we had an instant connection through sports and other things. Kathleen has garnered widespread recognition for her contributions as an educator, particularly in her role as an award-winning advocate for women in business. As we delve into the depths of her expertise, prepare to be inspired by her wisdom, energized by enthusiasm, and motivated to embark on your own journey of personal and professional growth. Kathleen Rawls is a Massachusetts native and an award-winning educator. She was a high school teacher, athletics coach for 15 years in various states, leading several field hockey, softball, track and field teams to league and district championships. As a doctoral student, she conducted research on 4 continents, focusing on the constructs of sport, gender, and voice empowerment. Kathleen has written articles for numerous newspapers and academic journals. Her first book, entitled Take Her Word for It, Sports Cultivate World-Class Leaders, was published in May 2022. A copy of it has been placed on the table right in front of you. After this, I hope you find some time after the conference to discuss with Kathleen. Serving as a founder and executive director of Kathleen Rawls LLC, she works to empower other professional females to lead with her unique voices. Kathleen is a proud graduate of the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where she earned her BA. And she was also sports editor for the Daily Collagen. She also has her master's degree from the American University and a doctorate degree from the University of Massachusetts Lowell. Can you please help me welcome Ms. Rawls to the stage with a round of applause?
All right, how we all doing today? I do want to thank everyone for coming today, this Women in Business conference. I've had so much fun. It's like just, Kelly and I were just talking about like what a nice atmosphere it is. Like I'm nervous a little bit right now, but I was feeling really relaxed the first couple hours of it. And now, not so much, but I do want to thank all of you just for inviting me. Our connection, we can share. My goddaughter, Jordan McKinney, went to school here, and she played lacrosse and field hockey. And when I finished my book, Jordan and I are very close. She's also a cousin of mine. And she told Kelly about it, and I got an email last summer, and Kelly's like, hey, I'm thinking about this, putting this together. Would you like to be a part of it? And I was like, immediate, like, yes, like, whatever you want. Like, she's like, well, think about it. I'm like, no, yes, like, we're done. Put the date on my calendar, you know, way back in the summer. As soon as you had the date, like, we were ready to go. So thank you, Kelly, for inviting me, and for everyone for just being so welcoming, and Aileen just hanging out with me for the day. I'm having a good time. Aileen has a game this afternoon, so like we were all on a bit of a schedule here and make sure she makes the bus. I was like, did you eat? These are things that we need to be concerned about. So we're here to, stay close to the mic here. We're here today, you know, a room full of leaders across many industries to discuss ways we can use our voices to make change and improve the world. There are many theories about what makes for impactful leaders. And surely we've heard many amazing ideas already. To be clear, the expectations we put on leaders is extraordinary. They should be outspoken. They should be bold, even fearless, and they should stand up for others. They always stand alone, or do they? In my research, girl runners in Ethiopia shared how they educate their friends and family about menstruation. Many of them were raised in households where women hid at home when they are on their period. That means missing valuable school time for these girls. And in their communities, and really around the world, there are endless misconceptions about women's health. Let's start with the notion that periods were once classified as a disease that led to hysteria. Or how about the one where our uteruses are supposed to fall out when we run long distances? Love that one. I do run every day, so it hasn't still in place as far as I know. And one of my favorites, as a consequence of losing blood, is that men will always surpass women intellectually. So we know that none of that is true, but sometimes getting the word out falls on girls and women. These Ethiopian girls have taken on this challenge. By normalizing periods, their friends and family now know that they don't have to hide at home in shame. The girls explain that they have the confidence to stand up to naysayers because of two factors. One, they had practice leading with their voices amongst their peer groups in school and in sports. And two, they had strength in numbers. Imagine the courage it takes for one girl or one woman to speak in contradiction to society norms. It's hard for me to put myself in those big shoes, and I do wear a size 10 and a half, so it's pretty good size here. But then imagine a pair or maybe a team of girls or women speaking up. I don't know about you, but many politicians, teachers, athletes, and business icons are flashing through my mind. In these images, leaders stand alone in front of the mic by themselves, but they're surrounded by a strong team of support. Behind every Malala and every Billie Jean King are friends and family and supporters who believe in her, who pick her up in defeat, who even disagree with her, and yet still push her to be better. They are not operating in a vacuum, these leaders, and they certainly know they can't move the needle without their teammates. We will get back to those behind-the-scene teammates in a little bit. But in the meantime, if we know that we are better together, why aren't we focused on building teams when we enter the workforce? One pervasive theory is that women are unable to work together, so we'll take a look at that one. Let's look at two rising stars in sport today. I was a sports journalist for a long time. I still play field hockey. I'm 46. I'm hanging out with a bunch of 30-year-olds, and I'm like, it's your job to tell me when I can't hang with you anymore. But I'm a really big sports fan, so we'll have a little sports theme going. Two rising stars in sports today. Louisiana State's Angel Reese and Iowa's Caitlin Clark. And if you don't follow college basketball, Reese led her team to the 2023 National Championship. And Clark recently set the all-time NCAA scoring record. How does the media convey the story of these two women? Certainly not as friends, but as rivals. But not just rivals on the court, but they're rivals in life. And that rivalry is steep in stereotypes. Reese has been marginalized as an angry, opinionated black woman. Clark is portrayed as the selfless white woman who signs endless autographs for young fans. Can we imagine if the narrative was different? What if the media created a story where two competitive, smart, talented women with different leadership and communication styles were friends? Or colleagues who can be respectful in disagreement? The good news is that we don't have to wait for the media to change the narrative, because Reese and Clark are already doing that on their own. Reese has marketed herself as the Bayou Barbie, complete with an unapologetic tattoo on her wrist. At 21 years old, she is already a millionaire, taking business tips from none other than Shaquille O'Neal. Reese recently made news for walking away from a championship game brawl, citing an understanding that nothing is gained when we fight on the court. Taking care of business, that's what Angel's all about. The same can be said for Clark, who consistently leads her team in assists while still being the all-time scoring leader. She strings passes through scissoring legs in the blink of an eye. Clark, who is also a millionaire, stumps for State Farm and has started a foundation to promote sport and education. One shared trait that even the media can't deny is that they deflect their individual success onto their teammates. Without a doubt, these two women know how to build teams by using their voices to drive results. Maybe creating the storyline of warring women was effective in catching the country's attention. But pushing themselves and the game forward is what society has tasked them with. And make no mistake, Reese and Clark are both up for it, and they are savvy enough to know that they can't do it without each other. Creating these oppositional storylines is great clickbait, but Reese and Clark demonstrate the power of using your voice that's true to yourself. Both speak of the influence and importance of their families, friends, and team. The complexity of this dialogue is all in the nuances that feed the media, not their game. Why are we told over and over again that talented, competitive women must be enemies? That they cannot disagree, battle, and still be friends and colleagues? The answer is glaring, because when women team up, we are unstoppable. Society needs both women to elevate the game of basketball. They need each other to elevate their sport, and the proof is reverberating across social media. For the first time, a ticket to the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship is more expensive than the men's counterpart. This high quality product always existed, but now it's ready for prime time. Clark and Reese are demonstrating that diversity in leadership is critical to growing their outreach and success. It's the nature of being the best. We can't do it alone. So together, let's rewrite this boring and outdated narrative that women can't lead together. Better yet, let's rewrite this narrative with authenticity, using our own voice and positionality. Only this time, you are the star of this story. In your first job out of college, or now, you don't have to wait, your goal is to build a team of support and power around you. But how do you do that? The next generation of leaders will not be the ones to shine in exile, but the ones who can listen and communicate effectively. They may not be the first to speak. They may not be the loudest speaker or the one who speaks the longest, but they make themselves heard with their unique voice when the time is right. So how do we recognize others' talents and effectively elevate them? Look for the teammate who has a knack for advocacy and networking. If this isn't you, do the research and be their wingwoman, or wingman, as we have many men in the room. Look for the teammate who is comfortable speaking in public. If this isn't you, let them know you stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Look for the teammate who identifies quick and easy solutions. If this isn't you, be prepared to jump into action. Look for the teammate who may not always be right, but who isn't a yes person. If this isn't you, then be an active listener and find a way to communicate your thoughts when they most need your feedback. Are you starting to picture your own team here? But let's not forget the teammate whose skills are underrated. You know who I'm talking about, the quiet ones. Maybe they are introverts whose energy saps in the big team meetings. Maybe they are shy and uncomfortable with attention. But I bet they are attentive and punctual. They are smart and they are talented. They know how to listen, they know how to be part of a team, and they are rarely our top pick for some reason. Maybe they don't know how to draw attention to themselves, but more than likely, they are experts at avoiding it. Take my word for it, we are experts at this. It might surprise you that I identify as an introvert because I love public speaking, but I'm gonna spend my entire ride home in 495 like just decompressing. Hopefully I don't get into another accident. We want to be invited to lunch, but we probably won't go. Our FOMO radar is considerably lower than all of yours. It's okay, we're fine with it. So how do we support those quiet leaders? We need to find how we communicate with them and build trust with these allies. From somebody who times her exits perfectly from parties to avoid maximum attention. I'm very, very good at this. Might be the Irish goodbye in me too. I'm skilled. If you need some help, come over here, I'm your girl. Bringing undue saccharine accolades is not where it's at. Better yet, use your time to build private relationships and let the authenticity emerge. You may find that asking for their opinion in meetings won't elicit much of a response. My go-to suggestion is to team up with our quiet leaders offline in small groups. Make sure to jointly present your ideas and set them up for quick and easy ways that they can chime in, be part, and step back out. Like our Ethiopian girl runners, we all need practice in leading with our voices. But don't stop there. Send them a private pump-up note. Like Reese and Clark, talk about their skills with other leaders and be the teammate you want to be. You might want to ask yourself, what does it feel like to be recognized for good? Does it feel great? For some of us, we love it. We love the attention. It's very comforting for us. It motivates us. But for our quiet leaders, it's often a topsy-turvy struggle of celebration and humiliation. Very embarrassing sometimes. And we don't want to do that to our quiet leaders. As you get to know your quieter teammates, consider how they spend their time. Maybe the thought of talking in front of a group about their love of extreme ironing makes them want to evaporate into the floorboards. I just fell down a rabbit hole and discovered extreme ironing. If you're bored, follow suit. It's very interesting. But in a one-on-one situation, you can feel the passion in their voice. It's not your job to share out every little detail of their lives, but to envision the possibility of dynamic leadership. Imagine a workplace where the definition of success relies on everybody having the opportunity to lead with their unique voice. Got it. We all benefit from dynamic team leadership. We look to Reese and Clark, who we now see, they're running parallel lives towards the same goal. These two women are not rivals. Well, maybe they are in the court, but outside of court, they're not. They're like PB and J. We can't have one without the other. Though they play for opposing teams, they are changing the trajectory of women's sport together. So the next time you feel overlooked or underappreciated, find a teammate who will dust you off. We quiet leaders are actually very, very good at that. Find those teammates whose skills and gifts complement yours. The teammate who sees you and supports you. And if you're lucky, maybe they need you just as much as you need them. In our own lives, what makes us stay with any team is feeling motivated and valued. This is a universal pursuit that won't look the same from one person to the next. You don't take a rebounder like Reese and duplicate her. You spot her with outside shooters and figure out how to connect the dots later. And don't forget to continue to explore and strengthen the skills and talents that make you a valid team member. So use your unique voice, even if it's unapologetically. But don't forget to build up the voices of your teammates, because none of us stand alone.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, I got thrown off by the mic, for sharing your knowledge with us. We'd like to now open the floor up to any questions for our guests.
We're good too with that. I used to tell my students, I taught high school history for 15 years, and I would ask the class questions, and I'm like, I am so good with awkward pauses, like I'm gonna wait this one out. I'll give you time to think.
What advice do you have for female athletes looking to pursue leadership positions in the workplace?
Yeah, like those Ethiopian girls, tap into what you already know, your leadership skills that you've developed. Even if you're not a captain, even if you don't see yourself as a leader, you are, because you've distinguished yourself as a student athlete. I remember when I was coaching at Northampton High School, and we had a state policeman who was the girls' soccer coach, and he gave a wonderful talk one night, and he said, you know, if you're a student athlete or a musician or an artist, if you have a skill that you're known for, whatever it may be, a writer, a poet, that will catch the news. So whatever you do, that part of your life will be part of how you are recognized. So see yourself as a leader and tap into those skills. I've talked to so many people, and I've worked in a lot of different industries, who say, like, I only recruit athletes, sometimes depending on the position because of the leadership skills they practiced. And think about the consistency too. You're the person that's practicing and going to games 5-6 days a week, sometimes year round. And that's very attractive to someone. So you want to highlight that and say, you know, I'm someone who can commit, someone who is consistent, someone who's going to put the hard work in. And probably as an athlete, no matter how good you are, and even if you are a college athlete, you've, you know, hit some lumps along the way and you've kept going. So those are things that you want to sell in your resume and when you go in for your interview.
Hello. What was the most rewarding part about founding your own personal brand?
Yes, defining it. I would say, as I've said earlier, I'm an introvert. I was very, very, very quiet. Actually, our photographer, Heather, we were like high school besties back in the day. We haven't seen each other in almost 30 years, so is this exciting that we got to see each other today? So she can attest to this, but I was a very quiet student athlete. And I think I saw myself, I kind of pigeonhole myself as that person for a very long time. Even as a teacher and a coach, I could elevate my voice, what I was doing, but then I was like, I'm a different person personally. So for me to put the brand together, I really had to do some deep thinking and evaluation into like who I really am and what am I comfortable finally putting out there. So I think that was a big success, is like kind of acknowledging that I do have strengths and that it's okay to tell other people about those strengths. I think that's hard for a lot of us to, you know, we think deep in our heads maybe like, I'm really good at that, or like, you know, I've had some success, but to say that and to say this is what I want to do with those talents and successes, you know, is hard. So I think that would be my best response.
Hi, my name is Virginia Burt. I was wondering, because you talked a lot about teamwork, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from kind of like your solo journey versus when you found like your community and started to like work with more people?
Like building, you mean like, sorry, I keep forgetting that I have this thing. Like building a team, like being a solopreneur.
From like when you found like your community, like when you were working and like networking with people versus like working before like you kind of got into the community aspect, working with more individuals.
You know, it took a while to find who I really connected with, to be honest, because when I started the business, I didn't have a degree in business, so it was kind of I joined an entrepreneur accelerator program, took some courses through there, but I think it took a little while to kind of figure out who my people really are, like coming from education. It was trying to figure out, like, I knew my passion was working with kids, and I really enjoyed that, but how do you recognize that passion in other people and, like, what is kind of shared, you know? I know I had a lot of people say, like, Kathleen, like, it's a business, so you have to really, like, think, like, change your mindset on that, and so, you know, in terms of finding community, I think I'm still working and creating it, to be honest. I think that's why I'm struggling. It's a great question, is I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit. But I think I would say you'd be surprised at who you do communicate with and who you do connect with. Sometimes it's not always obvious.
Thank you, Kathleen. Do you have any final thoughts or pieces of advice for our audience here this morning?
Let's see. I was thinking, I always go back to my mom. My mom is the first person after me to go to college, and she's still teaching. She's 78. Yeah, she really has a passion and cannot let it go, and so I'm like, go mom, you know. So I love that about her. She's my idol for sure, and I think, you know, I remember there was a time in my life and I said, you know, Mom, I was living in DC and I was just having some things going on. I was like, Mom, could you come down and, you know, like help me out with something? And she said, you know I will, but like, you can do it yourself. Like, you can, you know, there's nothing you can't do, Kathleen, like whatever you want to do. And so I think about that, my mom's advice often of just like, you know, like, you really look out and be like, I need some help, and it's great to have the team, and she's my team. She's probably like #1 on my team. Still, but like, there's a lot of things that we can do on our own that we already have the sufficiency to do, so I would say that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Let's give her that round of applause.
Thank you. So At this time, I would like to ask Maddie Frechette to return to the stage for closing remarks, final reminders, and an exciting announcement about those Patriot Ticket Award winners before the final performance from the Dean College Vocal Ensemble.
Hi again, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today and for supporting the Dean College Women in Business Conference. This conference was planned and organized entirely by a group of students in Professor Reese's event planning course with a very minimal budget. With the help and support of our Student Activities Office, Academic Affairs, the Dean of the School of Business, and the President, Elmore, we hope you guys enjoyed a morning of inspiration, celebration, and connection. I'd also like to take this time to say a personal thank you to Professor Reese. At this time, I invite Kelly to join me on stage. So, anyone that knows Kelly knows that she is the kindest person of all time and is super dedicated to everything that she does, so we all appreciate you very much. Kelly has served as a club advisor, professor, and mentor, and role model in general to everyone who helped plan this event. This conference could not have been possible without her passion, commitment, and dedication to Dean College and the Women in Business Club. From all of us to you, we thank you and appreciate you always. And yeah, we all love you. You're welcome. Awesome. For those of you who have been with us since the beginning and took the opportunity to follow us on Instagram, we have selected a winner for the Patriots tickets. Our 8th new follower was selected given International Women's Day was March 8th. Is Karen Cohen here? Yeah, there you go. If you can come on up and meet Nora for those tickets, that would be awesome. I also wanted to mention that alumni guests, guest speakers, and award recipients are welcome to head across the hall to the Smith Dining Center for lunch on our alumni office. All student guests and community members are welcomed and encouraged to network and join our Opportunities Fair run by the wonderful Thea Serio in the concourse from 12 to 2 p.m. Students who check into this event will have another opportunity to win a pair of New England Patriots tickets. Congratulations again to all of our Journey Award recipients, and thank you to our wonderful keynote speakers for donating your time and sharing your expertise with the Dean College community. It is my pleasure to introduce our final piece of inspiration for this morning, the Dean College Vocal Ensemble. The Dean Vocal Ensemble is an elective course open to all Dean College students. With much enthusiasm, the students in the Vocal Ensemble course choose all of the songs you are going to hear today, adamant that they use this performance as an opportunity to amplify the voices of great women in music. You will hear works by Billie Eilish and Sarah Bareilles, split by an improvised mashup of many more artists, all of which are women. For this portion of the performance, each member of the ensemble has been asked to contribute their own song choice, weaving it into the greater tonal fabric. They will showcase a vast array of feminine viewpoints and voices in both order and chaos, all aligned to share a purpose. Please welcome the Dean Voice Ensemble class singing a repertoire created specifically for this conference and directed by Professor Timothy Ayers-Kern. Let's hear it up for them.
Hello friends, obviously I am not the Dean College Ensemble. Our friends are still getting ready backstage, so I would like to take this time to recognize once again the hard work of the members of the Women in Business Club. What you didn't see was the hard work that it took to get here, whether it was dress rehearsal 2 days ago where they're running around doing things again, keeping time, making sure that everyone has what they need, or being here, as Kelly told me, at 7 a.m. to get this space ready. The amount of time, effort, and care that it took to have you sitting here and to get all the guest speakers is something to be extremely proud of and something to be admired. So thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and your love for Dean College. Let's give them another round of applause.
Addie's ab-libbing and stalling right now because that's what we were told to do. So we're going to need 5 more minutes, but I figured I'd help fill that 5 minutes. There are 23 pretty remarkable students in this room, in addition to some of the Women in Business Club outside of the class that put this event together, and I'm going to get emotional thinking about them. They are absolutely remarkable. So they have a pink name tag on, and if you have a pink name tag on, I would like you to stand up for just a minute so you that know all. I think I just said ladies, and I'm going to correct that, but and wave. And there's 2 wonderful gentlemen up there, Giancarlo and Anthony. And they have sat with 22 ladies twice a week to plan this. Our strong men are behind us too, and it's been such a phenomenal group and such a phenomenal experience. We have 8 more weeks of that class, and I don't know what we're going to do with it. So if there are some powerful women in this room who would like to come as our guest speaker and continue this inspiration, we would love to have you. So please reach out. Oh, good. If you want to, while we wait for them to come up on stage, they probably need about 2 more minutes. If you want to turn to the person beside you, say hello, ask them to share a story or maybe their favorite part of the conference, we would appreciate it. And thank you again to all the students who put this on.
Turns out I'm not real. Just something you paid. Something you paid for. What was I made? What was I made for? 'Cause I don't know how to feel. Tell my boyfriend it's not what he's made for. What was I made for? She's just a girl in the Bible saying, kiss me on the side without your smiles. I'll be alright. You said, remember that life is not meant to be wasted. We will always be chasing the sun. So fill up your lungs and just run. We will always be chasing the sun. Chasing the sun. It's a really old city, stuck between the dead and the living. So I thought to myself, sitting on a graveyard shelf, as the echo of heartbeats from the ground below my feet fill the cemetery in the center of Queens. I started running the maze of the names and the dates, some older than others, skyscrapers, little tombstone brothers, with Manhattan behind her, 3 million stunning reminders, built a cemetery in the center of Queens. You said, remember that life is not meant to be wasted. We can always be chasing the sun. So fill up your lungs and just run. But always be chasing the sun.
All right, that is a wrap on the very first Women of Business Conference here at Dean College.
I just want to take one quick moment to give a shout out to Addie Graham. She's an alumni. She came back to MC this event and she was absolutely awesome. So let's give her a round of applause. I hope that you guys all enjoyed. Thank you.